So I'm Alpa Pandya, and I'm going to be one of the speakers at the Up Fundemas Sustainability Conference. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I wear two professional hats. One as a marketing strategist working across the globe, and then the second as a board member of BPeace, a 20-year-old non-governmental organization that helps small and medium-sized businesses create jobs. And I've been helping organizations for over 30 years with their brand building efforts. And I started my career in London, where I worked first at a food company, marketing cooking sauces, then at Gillette, where I was responsible for the male shaving portfolio. And then since then, I went from being an intern in a marketing strategy and design firm in New York to becoming the president there. So I had a very interesting career journey. Today, I'm based and have been 25 years in the New York area. And my focus is on marketing strategy. And for the past 6 years, I've been the co-founder of an advisory firm called Find Difference. And our core belief is that in today's attention economy, the strongest brands and businesses in the world are built on differentiated advantage. So we help companies, entrepreneurs, and other organizations in the business to business and business to consumer spaces grow by understanding how they can be different in a way that is relevant and valuable to their audiences.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Alpa, for the introduction on who you are and what you do. And when you come to El Salvador, what will your conference be about? What will you talk about? What are you excited to bring to El Salvador?
Well, my presentation is entitled Inclusion as a Growth Catalyst. And in my presentation, we'll really be making the case and discussing the business case for inclusion. So inclusion policies and practices in global business have really shifted from being something that's nice to have to something that's become a mandatory must-have. And so any business that wants to create and secure sustainable advantage and growth over the long term has to have positive impact on the communities in which it operates. And the sustainability is not just about natural resources, it's really also about human resources. And how do we shepherd and how do we use the human resources available to us to grow business in a sustainable way?
And when you speak about inclusion, are you talking about inclusion just in the workforce or also the environment where you operate as a business?
We're going to focus specifically on inclusion of within the workplace in this particular presentation. I think a lot of other people are going to talk about the environment and other factors as it relates to sustainability. What we believe, and what I believe very strongly, is that every business leader in El Salvador and elsewhere has a really important role when it comes to inclusion. And so learning about some frameworks, some case studies, some success stories can really serve as guidelines and serve as inspiration as leaders in El Salvador think about inclusion as a growth catalyst in this country.
I like how you say that inclusion is a growth catalyst. I love that idea. And I'm thinking about entrepreneurs or small businesses. Why is your message so important for entrepreneurs in El Salvador?
Well, look, your workforce is very heavily dependent on young people and on women currently. And precisely these groups have been quite underrepresented. People, for example, with disabilities, the LGBTIQ community have been marginalized or denied the rightful opportunities to participate and to thrive in the workplace. I often say to clients, particularly in the developing world, if you want to change your future, your country's future, get your women to work, put your women to work. That changes the economics. It also changes the long-term trajectory of a nation. The biggest predictor of a child's future is the education and the workforce stability, participation of the mother. So that when there is policy that really starts to include people, regardless of the background that they come from, that it starts to give particularly small and medium-sized businesses access to talent that perhaps they've not had access to before, and to really elevate the full potential of the available workforce in a country, integrating the most active parts of your population, regardless of their age, their gender, or other discriminatory factors. So it's very clear that embracing inclusion is really key for El Salvador, actually for the whole region, and in order for the region to thrive.
I think what you said is really interesting, how you get access to a whole new talent pool that you before. That's incredible. And I've also heard from examples about how when you are inclusive, you create a much, not only a safer environment to work, but just a more thriving and prosperous environment where there's more innovation, there's more connectivity, there's more working together to find solutions. So it's definitely a win-win. But let's say, as you say, in developing countries, that's a message that you bring, and thinking about all the companies in El Salvador in general. How can we as businesses apply your concepts in businesses in El Salvador? You mentioned frameworks, but is it just frameworks? What other issues are important?
Well, most of all, where there's a will, there's a way. And it is really about taking ideas and concepts learned through the course of the conference and through other sources, and really turning those into policies and practices, and from turning them from mere ideas into governing principles, ways in which you will do business. Often say to organizations, when you embrace change, nobody likes change. The only one that likes a change is a wet baby. Okay, so when we want to embrace change, what we've got to say is, first, set a North Star. What is our vision for the future? And then to really put the building blocks and the roadmap in place, and to help ourselves to say, we aren't going to go from being a chicken, an egg, to becoming a chicken overnight. However, there's a path to getting there. And here are the practices, and here is how we're going to build that transformation. So to answer your question, in short, it's taking all these ideas and really turning it into business principles and business actions that you can put some measurable KPIs and timing against, and to make those changes incrementally over time. We don't expect everything to go from black to white overnight, but we believe that when companies embrace sustainability through multiple avenues of their business, we will end up with a more sustainable, more equitable society.
Fantastic, Alpa. And you're going to give us the will. You're going to help enthuse the participants to get the will, and hopefully, as Fundemas, we will help the companies to find those. We support companies on their journeys to sustainability, and so we're really looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Likewise, and I when you said the will, I often say that it's the skill and the will, and if we can provide as external speakers some of the will and the inspiration and the impetus, I think what you guys can provide on the ground are the real skills to help people translate that into practice.
So Alpa, you've been to El Salvador before, and so tell us a bit about that, and please tell us about your work with Be Peace.
Well, I'm very fortunate to say that I've been to El Salvador a number of times. And in that time, I was representing BPs. I've been working with BPs for over 12 years. And in that time, I have been a skillanthropist. That is what we call our volunteers. And then for the last 5 years, I've been a board member. And I've worked with over a dozen El Salvadoran businesses, as well as with rising women executives through our Women Forward program. And so what is really great about the work that we do together is that we really work in a very customized with small and medium-sized businesses, understanding the cultural context, understanding some of the barriers and the challenges on the ground to help these businesses create jobs and create prosperity within the country. To give you a sense of our impact, and this information is now a little aged, but just to give you a sense of our impact, in 2022, BP's worked with over 220 small and medium-sized businesses in the US, El Salvador, and Guatemala, and more than 53,000 family members depend on the jobs that these companies provide. So we really have an impact which is helping entrepreneurs create jobs, but really has the greater societal impact. And that's why we do what we do every day, is that we believe that where there are jobs, there is and there is sustainability.
Perfect. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you soon.